All right, everybody, microphone's turned up, so hopefully this sounds better than the other videos have. I definitely need you to watch all four of Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Yes, they're long. Yes, they're boring. Yes, the sound is low. Do what you got to do. If the Lord calls you to it, do it. If the Lord doesn't call you, which will be 99% of you, that's okay too. Well, not 99% of those listening to this, because if you're listening to this, you're at least you've got some buy-in to what I'm doing. So that's a good thing. This one's going to be about the end times, which means the book of Daniel, the book of Revelation, and you can choose a few of the Gospels, Mark and Luke, but we're going to go with Matthew. And in Matthew, it's 24. I like Matthew 24 the best, just because that's what resonates to me the best. In Daniel, we're just going to go over Daniel 7 and Daniel 2. And we're going to go over 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We're going to go over the trumpet and bowl judgments and all of that. The thing you got to know about the book of Revelation, and let's go ahead and just, book of Revelation is not written in order in the middle body of it. I would say starting from 6 through 19, you've got 3 different sections. You've got the Great Tribulation, and then you've got the end times, God removing his church. And it's told 3 different times, 3 different ways. And it took me a long time. It's amazing how many, I go back and forth reading Revelation and Daniel, back and forth. One column at a time, back and forth. And I do that nightly, one column of Revelation until I finish Revelation. Then I'll do one column of Daniel. A column usually consists of half a chapter. It's my dad's old Bible. It's a red letter, King James Version. There is no perfect version of the Bible. The Bible is written to be cryptic. It is written to be misunderstood. Jesus is the Word. Jesus spoke in parables. God has ordained everything God meant for it to be a very hard to understand parable. Jesus, why dost thou speakest to them in parables? And Jesus said, for them it is not meant to know, but for you it is. And so, but God did preserve his truth through his sheep. And I'm in hope that that's what I'm giving you today. Let's go ahead and start with Revelation and just do a quick overview. You've got the beginning. It's the revelation of Jesus Christ. So this is Jesus revealing unto his servants through John. And then John greets the 7 churches. Now, all the 7s that you see, 7 is the meaning of the refined church. I believe it's in 2 Kings, where I forget his name, but he had to, in order to get rid of the leprosy, he had to dip himself 7 times. Let me pause this and I'll find it for you. I didn't prep that. All right. And 2 Kings 5:14, then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan. 7 is the number of refinement, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child. He was clean. In other words, he was born again. He was refined. And so the 7 letters to the 7 churches, for instance, that we will go through, John's greetings to the 7 churches. That's the church divided up into 7, because there's only one church. The church is Israel, and Israel is the church. That's Acts 7:38. Whoever wrote that, I believe it might have been Luke that wrote Acts. Acts 7:38. We'll just say Luke, or we'll just say the writer. The writer refers to the church that was on Mount Sinai receiving the Ten Commandments. He called it the church. People think today that we have to defend Israel. We do not, because Israel is the church, and the church is Israel. So we're just supposed to defend the truth. We're supposed to be looking out for each other. When it talks about taking care of the poor or visiting them in jail, it's talking about visiting sheep. It doesn't mean go visit somebody in jail or go just feed anybody on the street. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But God only, let's just say, gives you credit for when you are doing for sheep. Feed the sheep. That's what Jesus said. Feed. That's what he said to, I believe it was Peter. Feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord. You know, feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord. You know I love. Feed my sheep. See, the Bible is written in the positive. That's the way the Holy Spirit told me to teach it. It is written in the positive. You think it's talking to everybody. It's talking to the sheep. So it's sheep talking to sheep. And there is no such thing as free will. Free will is Catholic. Eternal torment, hell is Catholic. Is eternal torment is Catholic. Hell means the grave. It means death. I do 2 Bible studies on hell. Hell is not eternal torment. So please watch both of those. Baptism is not of a water baptism. That was the old Jewish proselyte way to join Judaism. All they have you doing now, which came from Catholicism. That's all you got now is Catholicism in all your churches. That's why you're celebrating pagan holidays. The Christ Mass, every December 25th, that's pagan Rome, folks. You just celebrated Easter. It drove me crazy. That day drove me crazy. Way more than watching y'all fall for this fake news on TV. And yes, Donald Trump knows a lot of people know the news is fake. So that's why he coined fake news to suck a lot of people in. Donald Trump is as much fake news as anybody else. Donald Trump is the beast. He is the Antichrist. But right now, he's meek as a lamb. He's just playing the good guy, keep his base, get everybody sucked in. They've created a bad guy. And then he's playing the role of the white hat, and Bill Gates is playing the role of the black hat. And they're going to take Trump out. They're going to take him out. And then when they do, the black hat's going to rule. And there's going to be a lot of carnage, and we're going to get into that today through this Bible prophecy as we go over the prophecy books. And then he will return, seemingly with a deadly wound, but did live. The deadly wound that was healed. Revelation 13. I believe that's 13:3 and 13:12. But that will be a clone that gets popped. And the movie The Prestige told you that. The Batman has always been the Illuminati's superhero. And the old TV show Batman, I believe her name was Miss Howard or something. She ran Wayne Manor. You know, Batman and Robin, the Bat Poles of the 60s and whatever, when we were kids, if you're my age. And the man said, I heard Mr. Wayne was tapped for Skull and Bones, which, you know, is a evil secret society which pretty much fills up all of your CIA. They actually began the CIA. And there was the guy that does the Jason Bourne movies. He did a movie about that. Skull and Bones created the CIA. They sat there and told you that in a movie. They watered it down a little bit, but they sure did. They told it to you in a movie. I heard he was tapped for Skull and Bones. She goes, tapped for Skull and Bones? Sir, he founded Skull and Bones. So Bruce Wayne's dad founded Skull and Bones. What does that tell you? So Batman has always been the Illuminati's Antichrist. You got the Dark Knight, and then you got the Dark Knight Rise. Remember that one with Bane? Well, when Bruce Wayne was taken out of the way, thrown into the abyss, he rose out. That's why they called it Dark Knight Rises, which is straight out of Revelation 2 and Revelation 13. And when he rises, he's going to have the spirit of Antichrist. He's going to have Satan's spirit indwelt in him. And that's when he will have appeared as if he's risen from the dead, when all in all it was just a clone that was taken out. And but when you watch part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, I show you that the same actors, same directors, Christian Bale, get it? Bale on Christianity. Christian Bale played the role of a man that was cloned in the movie The Prestige. Michael Caine was his helper, and the director of the movie was Christopher Nolan. Same ones that did Batman, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. Same ones. Same director. Same Michael Caine helping the same Bruce Wayne character. His name was Borden. The clone was called Fallon in the movie The Prestige. And, of course, Jimmy Fallon played Donald Trump, talking to Donald Trump when they had 2 Trumps. They were looking at each other. So I go over all that. So we're going to show you now how that matches up biblically. But I will tell you again, please watch my video, Artificial Intelligence is the Mark of the Beast, is the Ghost in the Machine. That's why they are pushing 5G, and Trump is pushing 5G, and they got this whole QAnon thing, like, oh, this 5G is going to be better than what we're going to get, and blah, 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 but Trump wants it really bad to stay ahead, and QAnon is nothing more than artificial intelligence. That's Satan talking through the computer, which is what he's been doing for quite a long time. For many decades, writing the script. The Police did an album titled Ghost in the Machine in 1981. So how long do you think the ghost has been in the machine? They've had computers way before they told you we had computers. They've had artificial intelligence way before they told you about artificial intelligence. So, but let's go ahead. Just make sure you watch that. All 4 that Donald Trump is the Antichrist, and make sure that you watch Artificial Intelligence is the Ghost in the Machine, especially the newer version, which is the newer version. And right now it's sitting at the top. It'll then be below this one. Because when you go to my YouTube site and click videos, it puts them in order. So right below this one that you're watching will be about artificial intelligence. You've got to watch those because that's what this is part of the end times when we get to the image that speaks and what the mark of the beast is and so forth. All right. So anyway, so you get to Revelation 2 and you've got the message to the church in Ephesus. Again, it's 7 churches. So each message is a cryptically written message to... Oh my goodness, I never set up my camera. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, a little too much caffeine. So, yeah, I'm all excited. I didn't get everything prepped for you. That's my fault. So you've been looking at whatever. Right now I got you on split screen. I'll put you over here on the King James Version, but the other version is the NLT, and it kind of gives me the narrative. It actually gives you headlines. See that headline there, a message to the church in Smyrna, so... that just helps gives me the narrative. But we'll keep you over here on the King James view. When you look at 2:9, it says, which say that they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. That's what's going on right now in the land where Jesus roamed. They're fake Jews. Get it? Because it says the same thing again In Revelation 3:9, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say that they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead on and give you Revelation 11:8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. That's sarcasm, calling it the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Does that sound like a good thing? No. Where our Lord was crucified. So we just went over 2:9 and 3:9. They say that they are Jews, but they are not. They're the synagogue of Satan. And where our Lord was crucified, that city, sarcastically called the great city, it's spiritual Sodom and Egypt. Folks, just like you got a pyramid on the back of your dollar bill, which means you don't own your country. They own you. And now they're proving it. They're telling you to cover your face and stay in your house. That you're a cancer to society. Shut up, stay home, be quiet. Cover your face. Don't even get within 6 feet of each other. You see what they're doing to you? Yeah, they're shaming you. That's what they're doing. This is a psychological operation. Very well, smoothly played. By who? Well, is it a bunch of men whooping your rear end into shape? No. They're using men and women. But it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. The ghost in the machine, for instance? Yeah. I mean, folks, they've been channeling spirits. What do you think built the amazing pyramids in the days of old when they called it Ancient Aliens TV show? And they tell you, those were the fallen angels of Genesis 6, verses 1 through 9, where it says there were giants in those days. There are things that were built in antiquity that there's no way mankind could have built it back then. It's because man didn't build it. Back then, the great ones, as they call them, roamed the earth. And that's where you get your gods and goddesses. Because Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light, so some were seen as female, even though all angels are males. Why do they put a female angel on top of your Christmas tree? Well, yeah, because it's about the goddess. District of Columbia, the goddess. It sits in between Virgin Maryland, the goddess. District of Columbia sits on an area that used to be known as Rome, Maryland. All roads lead to Rome. And Rome Vatican, they have an Egyptian obelisk facing the dome. That's the lost penis of Osiris, facing the female womb, Isis. And that's exactly what they've got in D.C. The Washington Monument facing the dome. It's their world, folks. And you got a pyramid on the back of your dollar bill. It's their world, and you're just living in it until you're not going to be living in it, which is coming soon, and we're going to be going over that also. I don't mean to be such a Debbie Downer, but I'm only speaking to the sheep and trying to get the sheep whipped into shape here, like the Lord's beating me into shape. So anyway, so you got your 7 letters to the 7 churches, which again, all of the 7s in Revelation are simply the refined church. You've got 7 trumpets that blow all the way to the end of time, which tells you the church is always here. When they tell you there's a pre-trib rapture, they're lying to you. They've been lying to you. Why do you think they got you celebrating Christmas and Easter and telling you that you got free will? Romans 9:16 says you have no free will. John 1:13 tells you you have no free will. That your salvation has nothing to do with any free will ability whatsoever. God knew you at the foundation of the world. I teach that non-stop on my Bible studies. I got an 11-part series, 9 hours worth. You go to Ephesians 1, verses 4 and 5. It clearly states that he chose us at the foundation of the world. It's always been a chosen people group. Israel has always been God's chosen people. Period. Man does not have the capacity to choose God. He has to call you. Saul was killing Christians until on the road to Damascus he got called. Without the calling, do you think his own free will he would have just decided to quit being a bounty hunter and killing Christians? No, Saul would have stayed Saul. Okay? That's just a little snippet of how it works. Now, Saul actually heard Jesus, literally. Today, back then there was a lot of supernatural stuff, like there will be at the very end. Raising people from the dead. You don't do that stuff now. So, without the calling, now the calling is just in our gut. It's in our conscience level. So, and that's your baptism. When you get turned, when the Lord calls you and turns you. That's Romans 8, 29 and 30. Read it. If you want to know the fairness of God choosing you versus the rest that he did not choose, the narrow way versus the broad way. You want to know the fairness of it? Go to Romans 9, 11 through 24. And you'll read that it's fair. It's called the potter's clay. And we're going to get into clay because that's part of this also. All right, so where were we? Now we get into Revelation chapter 4. And it's giving you a vision of heaven. Now I want you to know this now. The story of the parable of Lazarus and the rich man is a parable. All the parables are parables. It's not real. So don't use a parable to teach truth without putting it in its proper perspective. The dead are dead until they're simply awakened. You don't have one part of you with God and the rest of you is without God. No. All of you is asleep. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life and some to shame and everlasting contempt. That's not eternal torment. But it says it's everlasting. Yes, the judgment lasts forever. There's no after 1 billion years that God's going to go wake up grandma or my dad or my sister or my brother or my grandkid or my kid. And that's all that means. It's everlasting. It lasts forever. The judgment, it lasts forever. That's all that means. All right, so Revelation 4. So it's just giving you a snapshot of heaven, the thrones of God, and then we see the scroll in Revelation 5. The Lamb opens the scroll. I'm over here on the right side where it's New Living Translation, and they're giving me, New Living Translation is a much weaker translation. It's watered down. It leaves out some Bible verses. But the King James is also corrupted. Again, it's a parable. It's not written properly. John 3:16, for God so loved. In the Greek, it's cosmos. It's the first definition that God so loved, which is appropriate, harmonious arrangement, order, constitution, government. In other words, him choosing his kingdom, his family at the foundation of the world. That's what he so loved. Jesus said, I only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's Matthew 15:24. That's all he came for. He didn't come for the whole world. So when Hollywood made a movie called Lost in Translation, that's what they were talking about. And when Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle the truth, that's what he's talking about. People can't handle, goats cannot handle the truth when you tell it to them. They'll stay tucked inside of a false teaching. Well, I believe God loves everybody. Well, you keep believing that. If the Lord doesn't call you out of it, it's not your fault. You've just been handed over to it. So, I can't help you out there. Man can't help man. That's Jeremiah 31 through 34. It's the new covenant. Man no longer teaches man to know the Lord, for they will already know me from least to the greatest. Why? Because you're born into it. Paul said, when I was cut from my mother's womb and called by his grace. He started off as Saul killing Christians. How was he already under? Because he was one of the chosen few. So the Lamb opens the scroll, and I began to weep bitterly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll and to read it. I'm reading it from the NLT, but I highlighted over here in the King James. And but one of the four elders said to me, stop weeping. Look, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, I'll come over here and read it from here, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seven seals thereof. Okay, so Jesus is worthy. Worthy is the Lamb to open the seals. Now, this virus was called Corona for a reason. Because you get into Revelation 6, and I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, and I heard as it were a noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. Now this is the fake Christ, the fake Jesus, the Antichrist. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him. What's taking place right now is Trump is receiving his crown, his corona. And if I just do a quick Donald Trump, Time Magazine wearing a crown.
Showing pictures that match.
You can see that, okay? And of course, they love him. They pretend they don't. The liberal media has to play their role. Trump plays his role. He's the savior of the patriots, which, if you understand patriotism, they created that too. The sheep are one nation of God, of Israel. We are of a holy nation. That is in 2 Peter. Well, a chosen people group and holy nation. But ye are a chosen generation. Remember, see, chosen people group. Israel, we're the church. A royal priesthood and holy nation. The goats are going to belong to whatever patriotism they have cult-like status they've been called to. People are like, well, this is one nation under God. It's one nation under the goddess. The District of Columbia, there's a goddess on top of the Capitol. Columbia holding the torch. That's Lucifer as light. Just given the name of Columbia, the goddess. The Statue of Liberty, the goddess, the Roman Libertas. Liberty, Libertas. You got a pyramid on the back of your dollar bill. Don't tell me what this country is. I know what it is. If you're in the cult, then, you know, you're going to want to put a bullet in my head for saying that. Your flag's got red and blue in it. Red and blue makes purple. The color of Mystery Babylon is purple and scarlet. And I show you the purple in my artificial intelligence is the mark of the beast. I show you that purple. Oprah, The Color Purple movie. The group Deep Purple. Remember them? Smoke on the Water. Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. Purple's their color, man. So that's what your red and blue's for. Russia's got the red, white, and blue flag too. So does Britain. And so do a lot of countries. Every single country is under the goddess. Islam, they got that crescent moon and that star. They're on the same squad. They just create wars. They create violence. Most of your violence was done by the CIA. It's faked. Yeah, some people are obviously killed, maimed with gas attacks or whatever. They don't care what they do to people. Folks, these people are run by Lucifer. These people are Satanists that run this world, and they're fixing to collapse it and bring in their new world order. And that's what we're going to get to. So let's keep rolling. I don't mind digressing because I'm painting a picture for you. If you're a sheep, God will call you to stick with me. So the seals are broken, and now we get into Revelation 6. And we'll stop right there because let's move into some other areas. Revelation 6 is also Revelation 13. Is also Revelation. See, I got Daniel 2, Daniel 7, I got Matthew 24, I got 2 Thessalonians. What have I got here? Okay, that's the last trump. We'll get into that. I'm there, and I was also here, so let's get rid of that. Because I also wanted to bring up... Okay. Sorry, Meathead is here, and I lost my train of thought. And I'll blame the caffeine, because that really gets my ADHD scatterbrain going. But just stay with me, work with me. By the way, I was looking at my notes, because I do have a clipboard here. I told you that the rider on the white horse is the Antichrist. He's the imitation. Let's just go ahead and look at the other two, which are actually Jesus. Remember, I told you the same story is told 3 different times throughout the Bible. And that is the Great Tribulation, and then the end times, Jesus returning to reclaim the earth. The rapture. There is no pre-trib rapture. It is a post-trib rapture. When Jesus comes to remove his church, and people are like, well, God wouldn't beat up his bride. Yeah, God beats up his... every apostle was murdered. Okay? Would you not say the apostles were the beginning of the church and the bride? Or Martin Luther when they, I think it was his 95 Theses and the Reformation. Every one of those people of the Reformation was murdered. I think they were called the Albigensians and the Waldensens. Yeah, I don't know. But they were the truth carriers of that era. Pagan Rome was throwing Christians to the lions, impaling them, lighting them on fire, and using them as street lamps. Folks, the church has always been persecuted. So, KAH 621, you always knew that. You had it right. Nice work. So, I'm just saying. But let's go ahead and show you the other riders of the white horse, which is Jesus. 6:2 is the imitation. That's the Antichrist. And then we go to 14:14. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. So that's Jesus, ready to rapture his church that has, or his bride that has been taking a beating during the Great Tribulation, and or also, and I saw heaven. Oh, by the way, I sure hope y'all are taking notes. I didn't say that earlier, but hopefully you will. When I post it, I'll make sure to tell you, make sure you're taking notes. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, and by the way, would you please share this video? Nobody shares my videos. Nobody shares them. Share my videos, please. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. So this is Jesus again coming to remove his church. So we'll get into that. But I just wanted you to make sure that you understood all that. I want to cut to, right now, Daniel 2. One night during the second year of his reign, I'm going to read it over here in the NLT, but I'll have it for you over here in the King James. One night during the second year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had such a disturbing dream that he couldn't sleep, and he called his magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and so forth. Moving on down to 4, and the astrologers answered the king, "Long live the king. Tell us the dream, and we'll tell you what it means." And the king said to the astrologers, "I am serious about this. If you don't tell me the dream and what it means, I'll have you torn limb from limb." And see, Daniel was trained. He was captured. He was of Israel, and he was captured Israel was captured by the Babylonian Empire. And so Daniel had to learn the way of the Chaldeans and the astrologers and the magicians and so forth. And crazily, as a coincidence, I was raised Catholic, and in my Catholic church or Catholic school, we had a astrology wheel, horoscope wheel on the cover of a paper stapled yearbook. And I took to astrology ever since. I will tell you, I also learned the way of the Chaldeans and the astrologers, and I was as good at astrology. Now, Daniel did not practice astrology, but he had to be taught it. So anyway, these astrologers are threatened that they're going to be killed if they can't tell them the dream and the interpretation, because the astrologers were like, "King, you're going to have to tell us the dream, then we'll give you the interpretation." He's like, "I'm not falling for that trick." The king said, "I know what you're doing. You're stalling for time. You know that I am serious when I say, if you don't tell me the dream, you are doomed. So you have conspired to tell me lies, hoping I will change my mind, but tell me the dream, and I'll know that you can tell me what it means." So they literally have to just, out of thin air, they have to come up. And of course, granted, the fallen angels could have, through necromancy, have been able to have told them the dream. Just like necromancers can tell you that they're contacting your dead grandmother, and she's like, "Oh, I remember you in that red Volkswagen convertible." And they're like, "Oh my God, that's really my grandmother there." No, it's just a demon telling the person that's channeling the demon. By the way, that's why you television, channels, channeling. Do you know that that's why you got the group AC/DC, Hell's Bells? Through electronics, you channel demons. That's why movies, music, TV shows, news all put you under a spell. And that's why it's called programming. It's programming you through channeling, through demonic entities. And only the Holy Spirit can break you out of that and bring you through to the truth. I watch movies, but I know what I'm watching. I watch the news, but I know what I'm watching. It's all disgusting. Some of it, I will escape into fleshly entertainment, but I'm telling you, I can feel it when it gets to you. A movie will grab you. I quit listening to music a long time ago when I'm by myself. I would literally get creeped out listening to music by myself because I know what that is. Satan was in charge of the music in heaven. So, yeah. I digress, but that's okay. So the king was furious when he heard this, and he ordered that all the men of Babylon be executed, all these astrologers. And then the king's guard came and told Daniel about the situation, and Daniel went home and told Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah the situation. By the way, I'm on verse 17, and I can see to my left that it's not keeping up with the New Living Translation. Again, one's a very watered down version, but I'm just using it to tell you a story. He urged them to ask, to pray hard, to the God of heaven to show them mercy by telling them this secret. So they were receiving spiritual discernment, spiritual wisdom through the Holy Spirit. These astrologers could not. God, of course, had blocked that. And that night, the secret was revealed to Daniel in the vision. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven, and he said, "Praise the name of God forever and ever, for he has all wisdom and power and controls the course of world events." Yes, there's no free will. This isn't God versus Satan, people. Satan is a created being who was created with a glitch. And 33%, that's why they love that number, or 1/3, was also created with a glitch. They fell. Adam and Eve, Adam created with a glitch, because he was born into a fallen arena, because the corruption in heaven had already happened. As above, so below, as they say. And that's why Hollywood made a movie called All About Eve. It was nominated for a ton of Academy Awards. I think it still ties the record for the most nominations because, of course, they love that. Skull and Bones number is 322 because of Genesis 3:22. That man now has, it's talking about the wisdom that man received in the garden. And of course, that's why the people that run this world love Lucifer, because he gave man light. That they say that Adam and Eve was trapped in the Garden of Eden. They were stupid, and that Lucifer gave them light. And the people that run this world think they've got the light, and they've been led down that path. They've been handed over to it. That's why I know people in that system. I never talk about that system on my Facebook or on my videos, because it's personal, it's local, and it's too close to home. They've been handed over to it. I don't treat them any different than I treat anybody else. And they know I know, but they treat me okay too. Until the storm begins, and I won't be treated so well anymore. They might come get me individually. Not them themselves, but, and that's just how it goes. Praise the Lord. That's all I can tell you. We are called to suffer and die. So that's how it goes. So Daniel is giving God all the praise. And then Daniel goes to the king. Then Daniel went to see, okay, the king had ordered to execute the Daniel said, "Don't kill the wise man, just take me to the king and I'll handle this situation." And the king said to Daniel, known as Belshazzar, because they gave him a Babylonian name, "Is this true that you can tell me the dream, what the dream was and what it means?" And Daniel replied, "There is no wise man, enchanters, magicians, fortune tellers who can reveal the king's secret, but there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he has shown me, King Nebuchadnezzar. And I'm telling you, I know what's going to happen to Trump. God's revealed to me through them revealing through the movies, because they have to tell the truth. Just like Jesus, just like the Bible does reveal the truth, but only certain people are called to understanding the truth in God's word. Same. Only certain people can interpret what they're telling you cryptically in movies, TV shows, cartoons, Simpsons, whatever. And but there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in the future. And I will tell you your dream and the visions you saw as you lay on your bed. As he, did lay in the bed when he had the dream. While your majesty was sleeping, you dreamed about coming events. He who reveals secrets has shown you what is going to happen. And so, just to shorten this up, there's the vision of the coming 4 kingdoms. And that's what the dream is. And I really want y'all to read Daniel 2. I want y'all to read all of Daniel. I want y'all to read all of Revelation. I'm just breaking it down for you. Let me go over here to the King James, because I like it better here. This image, his head was of fine gold, his breast and arms of silver, and his belly and thighs of brass, and his legs of iron, his feet part iron and part clay. The iron and clay, I want you to think of, I forgot to include this on my artificial intelligence is the mark of the beast, is the ghost in the machine. The iron is machine, clay is man. That's the potter's clay that I told y'all to read about the fairness of God choosing his family. It's the potter's clay. He can let some clay hit the ground and go to the trash can, and other clay, because he's the artist. Some clay goes to make honor and some to dishonor. And it's that whole passage I told y'all to read in Romans 9:11 through 24 just tells you that it's fair that God can make the choice. It begins with, for children not yet born, having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. And election means what? God choosing you for Christianity to be saved. Sheep are born lost, and then God calls them. The shepherd loses not one of his sheep. Goats are born goats. Nothing they can do about it. So, yes, people are born that way. Ain't nothing they can do about it. So, I digressed, but that's okay. So, the iron, think of the song Iron Man. I am Iron Man by Ozzy Osbourne. It's mixing man and machine. It's the ghost in the machine is going to mix and meld with man. It will be broken into pieces. Thou sawest till that stone was cut without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them into pieces. So God comes and destroys the mingling of the fallen angels through the ghost in the machine. God comes and destroys that final kingdom. Somebody said, oh yeah, what about the Styx song, Mr. Roboto? Again, they've always been telling you the truth through music, movies, television shows, and so forth. There was an album. A friend of mine whose mom just passed away 2 days ago. She just passed away. Her initials were NM. She just passed away. Her oldest turned me on to an album in the 70s called, maybe it was 1980. I think it was 79. It was called, oh golly, did I just forget it? iRobot. And there was a movie called iRobot. So they've always been cryptically showing you this stuff. Well, that's what the iron mixed with clay. That's what the final kingdom is. I had a guy send me something, and I could tell by the guy's hand signals right off the bat he was somebody in the system, because he was flashing hand signals. And my friend, he just couldn't accept that at the time, at the moment. Hopefully he watches this, and maybe something, the Holy Spirit has to do it. I can't. Man no longer teaches man to know the Lord, folks. That's the new covenant. Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 34. So it's chapter 31, verses 31 through 34 in Jeremiah, the new covenant. Man no longer teaches. I can't show man anything. In the old covenant, they had prophets doing stuff, and they kept getting stoned and killed. And they would be thrown back into Babylon. So that covenant didn't work. So now God has to just indwell the Holy Spirit into man, into his church. And long story. But let's keep going. So that's what that's about. And then Nebuchadnezzar rewards Daniel. And as those toes of feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. I should have had that, of course, in my artificial intelligence, is the ghost in the machine. That's why they're pushing the 5G. That's the iron machine. Okay. Why is it mixing themselves? Watch this. Shall mingle. So you're telling me that machine is going to mix? No, it's the ghost in the machine is going to mix with the seed of men. It's going to be indwelt with man. Man will then be possessed. And that's why you're going to have, family members turning on each other, because some are going to take the mark and some are not. But when you take the mark, you're uploaded. That's why once you take the mark, there's no turning back, because you're now possessed from head to toe. But you're a superhero for a temporary time. That's why it's going to be sold. There's going to be a lot of supernatural lying signs and wonders. And in these days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed. So that's when Jesus returns on the white horse. And, So you got to read Daniel 2. I'm sorry, you read all of Daniel, but that's what Daniel 2 is about. Now you cut to Daniel 7. And this is Daniel's vision of the four beasts. And when you read through that, I'm not going to read it all because we are really, we are in trouble for time. That's all I can tell you. It's 51 minutes. And if I can at least keep it at an hour and a half, but it's going to be an hour and 45 minutes probably. So, there's the red light, still working. Okay. Now, Trump, Jesus said, I come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. But if one comes in his own name, him ye will receive. In Trump's name, Don Drumpf, which was the family name, comes to 666. Don Drumpf. So it's the number of a man. That prophecy is fulfilled through Donald Trump. Here's the other Antichrist prophecy fulfilled under Donald Trump. He is here in his own name, just like Jesus said. Again, I come in my Father's name, you receive me not. I come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not.
John 5. After this there was a...
Oh, that's right. He won't read you just the verse. I come in my Father's name, ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. And he's here in his own name. And guess who's receiving him? All these people that say they're Christians. All of the nation that claims to be Israel over there in the land where Jesus roamed. He's on a coin over there. He's on the temple coin. He is received by them all. Received because they are deceived. God has handed them over to it. If you are never called out of that, then you are never his. There are some that I am really trying to, but see, that's my flesh trying to make something happen. So, Trump is here in his own name. A horn is a trump, and a trump is a horn. That Bible verse, at the last trump, we will all be changed. That meant at the last trumpet, which meant at the last horn. So a horn is a trump and a trump is a horn. Donald Trump is here in his own name as the little horn of Daniel 7. Does Donald Trump speak great things? What did make America great again? That's all he did. That's all he does. And behold, this horn were like the eyes of a man, so he is a human man, and a mouth speaking great things. Make America great again. That's built into his motto. Every single verse I'm about to read you until we get to the final 5, which happens to match Trump Tower's 5 multiple addresses of 721 through 7. Yes, Trump Tower address 721 through 720. It has 5 multiple addresses that happen to match perfectly the little horn of Daniel 7. I beheld because of the voice of great words, which the horn spake. I even beheld till the beast was slain and his body destroyed. and giving to the burning flame. That's when Jesus destroys it. But watch this. I beheld because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. So that's verse 8 and verse 11 that say the word horn, and the word great is in there. Make America great again. Let's go down to verse 20. Even of that horn. So the horn is not said again until verse 20, and the word great once again. Make America great again. Even of that horn had eyes and a mouth that spake great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And you know, remember when he ran for president? Or when he walks with anybody? Any dignitary of another country? They're never bigger than he is. He's always more stout, taller, thicker. So, now you get to verses 21 through 25, which happen to match the 5 multiple addresses of Trump Tower. Go figure. Horn Tower, which happens to have an upside-down pyramid of 6 by 6 by 6 bushes. An upside-down pyramid stands for the female goddess. I proved that to you multiple times. Just watch. Donald Trump is the Antichrist, parts 1 through 4. So, and I beheld that same horn made war with the saints and did prevail against them. Go down to 25, because this is all the way through, but he says the same thing again. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints. So he's wearing out the saints. In 21 through 25, and let me look at my notes so I can get you the exact passages. Oh, there it is. Revelation 13. And that's 13. Oh, where is it? I never did write that down, so that's my fault. Now you're at Revelation 13, which is your 666. And I didn't prep it, so I'm winging it, which means I'm wasting time, but I don't want to go click pause because I always run the risk of losing the video. And maybe that's because the Lord wants me to read the entire passage to you. Wear out the saints of the Most High, I think it is. There it is. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. So the Antichrist is the little horn. So it's the same thing. He's making war with the saints at Revelation 13, and he does the same thing in Daniel 7, 21, and 25, which is the beginning of the Trump Tower address and the end of the Trump Tower 5 multiple addresses. Folks, this is Trump's penthouse was used in the movie The Devil's Advocate. And Biff, they said, was Donald Trump, that they characterized Biff in Back to the Future 2 after Donald Trump. And Trump in gematria is 88. You had to go 88 miles an hour, and the license tag that fell off the car said out of time. And when Donald Trump comes, you're out of time. And the movie Donnie Darko, it was the end of the world. And what was it? 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. You add those 4 numbers up, it comes to 88. So the world will end at 88, which the world will end at Trump. And they show you Donald Dark, okay, because Darko, he had a medicine bottle in the medicine cabinet. It said all you could see was Donald Dark, because Donnie Darko stood for Donald Darkness. Donnie Darko went to a Jesuit high school, like Donald Trump and his kids went to Jesuit universities. Trump went to Fordham. And right below Donald, it says 88 really big, because the medicine bottle's date said 5/24/88 or 1988. So it says Donald 88, which meant Donald Trump, because 88 is Trump in Gematria. So they've cryptically told you through Batman, through the Prestige, through Donnie Darko, through The Devil's Advocate being filmed in Trump Penthouse, through Back to the Future 2, they've told you who your Antichrist is, cryptically. Because Biff, who owns a casino, ends up running for president, and next thing you know, there's tanks in the streets, martial law. So, now let's go over Revelation 6. And I saw, because we're going to wrap this up, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as if there were a noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts had come, and see, and I saw, behold, a white horse, and one that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So he's going forth conquering and to conquer. Right now you're shut in your house. You're already being conquered, slowly. A frog doesn't know it's being boiled if you turn up the heat slowly. That's what's happening right now. But you're being conquered right now, slowly. And we had opened the second seal, and I heard a second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him that sat therein to take peace from the earth. Right now we're hearing China, 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 China. Either we're going to declare war on China while Trump is alive and then he gets killed, or Trump is going to get killed and then war is going to break out. I'm not sure which one comes first, but when it happens, we'll know. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he opened the third seal, I heard the third. Now, remember, Jesus is opening these seals. The Lamb is opening the seals. Jesus is in control and in charge of every bit of this. So you can be mad all you want to at Bill Gates or Donald Trump or whoever. But it's not flesh and blood enemies you got, and God's in control of every bit of this. God said, I guess I really need to show you that. I'm sorry to digress, but you got to paint the whole picture. You got to paint the whole picture. If the book of Revelation's already written, trust me, God's not waiting on Johnny to make a free will decision. Declaring the end from the beginning, so declaring Revelation from Genesis, from ancient times to the things that have not even taken place yet. Saying, my counsel shall stand, I will do my pleasure. God's in control of every little tiny thing. He knows the number of the hairs on a sheep's head. I form light. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. He creates evil. Satan is a created being, folks. Proverbs 16:4. I, the Lord, have made all things for myself. Excuse me. The Lord have made all things for himself. Rephrasing it. Yes, even the wicked for the day of evil. What is the day of evil? The abomination that causes desolation. We are going to go over that. And I'm just going to go ahead and here you go. So, I digress, but that's okay. That was needed. So God's in charge of every bit of this. So when it opened the second seal, peace was taken from the earth, so that's when the wars will begin. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard a third beast say, come, and I beheld, lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny. So there's going to be famine. Okay? And then here comes, and he opened the fourth seal, and I heard a voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I just got through watching Clint Eastwood in the movie Pale Rider, which was all about, they even quoted this Bible verse in the movie. Of course, they're all evil people that run Hollywood. Yes, including Clint Eastwood. You have to be, you're in the club, or you don't get to be Clint Eastwood or Tom Hanks or anybody else. Tom Hanks starring in the movie Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code about the bloodline that Jesus Christ had by having sex. That's Tom Hanks, folks. That's Tom Hanks. Yeah. And he knows what he's doing. Did you see him during that whole Corona. He put up the Corona typewriter and said he was losing to his wife by 201 points in Rummy. And Bill Gates did Event 201. Yeah. All right, so... And I looked, behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. Hell means the grave. Death and the grave, that's what hell is. Hell is not eternal torment. And I do a 2-part series on that. Make sure you watch it. Just go to my YouTube site, click videos, and scroll down and find it. Part 1 and Part 2, Hell is not eternal torment. So his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed him. So now people are dying, and power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. So the beast system will be killing people left and right to the point to where you lose 1/4 of the earth. And we're approaching 8 billion people, which is, why in their minds they feel they need to get rid of us, to control us. Just Google Georgia Guidestones up there in North Georgia, the state of Georgia, yes. Georgia Guidestones, Wikipedia, and it'll give you their 10 commandments. And their first commandment is, in balance with nature, keep the population at 500 million. That's 500 million. Well, we're approaching 8 billion. They want to reduce it down to 5, but it won't. Now, at this point, the Great Tribulation has started. Satan, the abomination that causes desolation has already taken place, because that's how you lose a 4th part of the earth. Because during this time, and that's when it's very hard and very difficult to understand. Because let's now go. Well, you go from Revelation 6. Let's just keep going. 5th seal, and those that are slain. And that's metaphorical. There's no people with the Lord. That's very, they're crying with a loud voice saying, "How long, O Lord?" Don't take that literal. There's nobody alive up in heaven yet. And the Bible, His Word, proves that. And white robes were given to them, and they were told, just chill out for a little season. We got to wait for your fellow servants and brethren to be killed, for everything to be fulfilled. And I beheld, opened the 6th seal, and there were great earthquakes, and the sun became black as sackcloth, and the moon became as blood, and the stars from heaven. So, this is when God is now taking over the earth. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the captains, and the mighty men, and the bondsmen and free men, say to themselves that they wanted the rocks to fall on them. For now it's God's wrath. The great day of His wrath has come. So that's Revelation 6. You move over to Revelation 7, and I saw the 4 angels standing on the 4 corners. Now God is taking over the 4 winds of the earth. And they, I believe that's the part where it says silence in heaven for 30 minutes. Nothing moved. Maybe that's later. Same thing. And I saw another angel ascending out of the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels. It was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, "Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads." So the remaining sheep that have been suffering during this great tribulation are being sealed. And they're going to receive the seal, and then God's going to come back to all these people that have been running your politics, running your news, running everything around you, your Hollywood. They're your NFL players. They're on your NFL network. They're on ESPN. They can't wait. They're all for this, and they've been playing along with this whole event. Stay home, stay in your homes. Do the right thing. They're all part of the system. I've seen their hand signals 1,000 times, even including your boy Tim Tebow. So don't even start. Nothing like watching Tim Tebow pose with his arms out like Jesus, If that's not one of my favorite, if that's not one of my favorites, I don't know which one is. Let's just go through some Tim Tebow hand signals for you. By the way, he's married to a model. Boom. He did all of he hit like all 4 hand signals all at once. Boom. That's what the fake preacher was doing. BP. Boom. Boom. Same outfit. He hit 3 hand signals in a row rapidly. And there he is. Posing like Jesus. Folks, I'll tell you what, if you're a fan of Tim Tebow, I'm not a fan of yours. That's all I got to say. No offense. No offense. No offense. So, but you know, you'll fall for Trump, you'll fall for Tebow, and you'll fall for Christmas and Easter and everything that your preacher says to you. And most of your preachers are in the system. Or were trained by the system, and they're just innocently wrong, about the nicest way I could say it. But most of them give you the hand signals. And I've watched them preach online, even the locals. I've watched them online, and I know that they know they're lying to you. So anyway, you go through, and I beheld, lo, a great multitude. So this is one rapture verse right here. And all the nations, all the kindreds, and the people in tongues stood before the throne of the Lamb, clothed in white robes, palms in their hands. That's the bride of Christ. And we find the bride of Christ, the wedding supper of the Lamb, also in Revelation 19. So again, the same parts of the Bible are taught in different sections of the Bible. So you've got the rapture in here, and then you've got the rapture over there, and then you've got the rapture over there. You've got the rapture in Thessalonians, you've got it Revelation 7, you got Revelation 19. Same stories told in different ways. There is no pre-tribulation rapture. God has already claimed the earth here. It's already done. So there's that. Now we go to Revelation 9. And he opened the bottomless pit, and arose smoke out of the pit. Now I want you to go back to The Dark Knight Rises. And he rose from the pit. Remember that? He rose from, that's why they call it The Dark Knight Rises. Why do they love 9/11 so much? And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in Greek the tongue have the name Apollyon. That's why you had Apollo, the Greek god Apollo, and of course, don't get me started on NASA. I mean, don't even. None of that's biblical. None of it's real. I can prove they faked everything. It's called scientism, by the way. They run that too. They run it all. You were born into a world of nothing but lies since the day you were born. And they stuck you with a needle. So, and there were things in those vaccines to jack you up purposefully back then. Trust me, when they got the Nazi scientists, Operation Paperclip, Google it. That's when they began all of this nasty science on you. They started spraying your crops, your food with pesticides. They started putting fake fluoride, really nasty fluoride type into your water. No matter how poor this country ever gets, they will never stop fixing your teeth. Like they really care about your teeth. They put fluoride in everybody's water supply, except in Palm Beach, where Trump has Mar-a-Lago. Palm Beach has no fluoride in their water. Go figure. I don't know. It's just amazing, isn't it, folks? I'm not talking about West Palm Beach, but just Palm Beach. And KAH 621, she's the one that told me that. She knows that. But she's also a fan. So hopefully Lord will call her out of that. Selfish reasons on my end there. But it says, so yeah, that's Revelation 9. So that's when Trump will get his supernatural powers. It will seem as if he's risen from the dead, but of course it would have been a clone that got popped. And it was commanded then that it should not hurt the grass of the sea, came the smoke and the locust. And in those days men shall seek death and shall not find it, in the shapes of the locusts like the horses, and they had hair like women, teeth, lions, breastplates of iron. So there's a lot of supernatural stuff taking place. Tails like unto scorpions, because God's wrath is coming upon them. And fifth angel sounded, the fifth trumpet brings the first terror. Let's go back to Revelation 8, the first of 4 trumpets. So this is your trumpet judgment. And remember, it's at the last trump when we are all changed. And I did not prep that. I believe that's Corinthians 15:53. At the last trump, we will all be changed. 1 Corinthians, Bible Gateway. So here's your rapture, again, in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So when you read it all, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. Again, you're in the dust of the earth. You're asleep. You're not with the Lord, but we shall be changed. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, the dead in Christ will rise first. For this corruptible must be put on incorruption. So you get your new glorified body. And so what was I tying that all into? Yeah, now we got to go back. This is the last trumpet, Revelation 11:15. And the seventh angel sounded, and some of them say, you come over here to the NLT, which is to my right. The seventh angel blew his trumpet. So it's the seventh. Remember, there's 7 trumpet blasts. There's 7 angels with 7 trumpets. Again, this is the church. All the 7s are about the refined church. It's about the church being refined. So then the 7th angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices shouting in heaven, the world has now become the kingdom of our Lord and his Christ, and he will reign forever and ever. So Revelation 11 is just like Revelation 18 with Babylon falling, and then 19, Jesus. We'll get into that. Let's just keep going. Keep going where? Good grief, we're just going all over the place. And I apologize. I hope this is making sense. You're probably going to have to listen to it many times. This is 2 Thessalonians. You go to 2:7, 2:11. This also will match Revelation 17:5. So let me make sure I do that. Let's go to Revelation 17:5. I was reading my notes. Second Thessalonians 2:7 and 11. For the mystery of iniquity I know why I had those matched. That was all about the mystery. Let's just go ahead and go with it. Why is Mystery Babylon called a mystery? Because it's done in secret. I just told you. It's a secret. You don't know what's going on. You think Trump's this, you think Trump's that. You think Nancy Pelosi's just this, but they're all secretly working for this end times. They're all in the same squad. When Nancy Pelosi tore up it was theater. That was just to make the Trump lovers go, oh, I hate her. I hate that bitch. She's so evil. Ugh. Trump's so good. You ain't got a clue. If the Lord don't call you out of it, you're going to stay in it. 2:7. For the mystery of iniquity doeth work already. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. When he is when Michael steps out of the way and releases the abyss, that's what we just read. Apollo rising from the abyss, where the dark night rises. That's when there'll be angels and demons, fallen angels and demons all over this earth. So that's going to be a big moment. Yeah. Let's go down to verse 11. And this one wasn't even it. This actually matches with, let me write that in my notes. 2 Thessalonians 11 matches with Matthew 24:24. We'll get to that. Okay. We are going to read Matthew 24. That's going to be very important. That's going to help tie all of this together. But for God shall send them a strong delusion, that they shall believe a lie, and that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. And the people that run this world cannot wait to collapse this world. They can't wait. They take great pleasure in tricking and fooling you. For there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, even the very elect should be fooled. But God's elect are called to see the truth about what's going on. Everybody else will be deceived. They're going to take that mark. They're going to want that mark. It's going to be seen as something that, I mean, you're going to be like a superhero. That's why they show all these superhero movies. So I tied Matthew 24:24 in with the strong delusion. That's the strong delusion. It says, great signs and lying signs and wonders, that if possible, even the very elect would be fooled. So, again, for this shall cause, God shall send them a strong delusion, that if so possible, the very elect would be fooled. You can just put those two verses together. 2 Thessalonians 2:11 and Matthew 24:24. That's what's taking place. A ton of supernatural lying signs and wonders. We then must go to Revelation 13. Look at 13:13. And he doeth great wonders. Again, just think about what we just read. Lying signs and wonders. If so possible, the very elect will be fooled. So that maketh fire come down from heaven on the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying unto them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast. So you have to make an image. The mark of the beast does not come until people make an image to the beast, which was wounded by the sword, but did live. Now, the Antichrist is said to have been killed, but doesn't die. Trump will appear to be dead, but remember the prestige. Clones. Cloning, I guarantee you, they started telling us about cloning. They had already been cloning humans before they told you that they cloned what? What was the first thing they said they cloned? A sheep. God's chosen people group are called what? Sheep. So, again, the middle finger. That's how they do things. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy stands for Lucifer. The movie called Lucy, which was about a ghost in the machine. That was about Lucifer in your computer. Just watch it. It's called Lucy. Yes. Scarlett Johansson. Watch this. Early man named Lucy, a girl. Lucy. Lucy, the pre-human hominid. See, this is when they try to sell you that fake evolution. So you can't have, it's called the theory of gravity. It's not real, it's a theory. It's called the theory of evolution, and it's called the Big Bang theory. You can't have one without the other. So all three theories tie into fake science, which is called scientism, which is a lie. And so part of that, this is the evolution. What did they name the first pre-human that they pretend they found with all these bones? The same with dinosaurs. Oh, see these bones? It's not real. Ain't real, ain't none of it real. But they called her Lucy after what? After who? After Lucifer, the goddess. Lucy fossils discovered in Ethiopia. Yeah. Yeah. I got some swampland I'll sell you. I digress. Let's get back on topic. But everything's for a reason, folks. When I digress, just go with it. So, Revelation 13:3 and 13:12. And I saw one of his heads as if it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So Trump's back. He's on the temple coin in Israel now, but he's going to declare himself to be God in the temple, standing in the holy place. And that is straight out of Daniel 9:27, which we will get to when we go over Matthew 24. And he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the 1 week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consumption, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Now, Trump's already confirmed a peace covenant. He's already confirmed it. It's the Middle East peace agreement. So, if you Google Trump finalizes Middle East peace agreement, if you go 3.5 years after that, it was in September 2019, I believe. Let's just click it. Trump's peace plan, January 20, Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, okay, it was on January 28th, 2020. So the middle of that, if that began this 7 years, then you would have the middle of 2020, then 21, 22, 23. So by the middle of 2023 should be your mark of the beast. That's when the abomination that causes desolation should take place. Right in the middle of 2023. Excuse me. That's your timeline. If you're looking for a timeline, that's your timeline. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, which is 7 years. And in the midst of that week, which is the middle of the 7 years, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And the temple has not been built yet, but remember, it is in the works because you have there's the Israeli Supreme Court with an all-seeing eye pyramid on the top. How do you like that? It's already Sodom and Egypt where our Lord was crucified, isn't it? Yes, it is. I told you about the movie Donnie Darko. Donald 88. 88 means Trump in gematria. It's saying Donald Trump is Donnie Darko, which stood for what? Donald Darkness. So, but we got Mike Pompeo right there. That's Mike Pompeo, second from the left, overlooking the architectural rendering. They say that they are Jews, but they are not, but they are of the synagogue of Satan. Yeah. So that's who your boy, you know, Fox comes to 666, folks. That's what fox means. And it's so funny that in the Batman, the African-American gentleman, what's his name, that played Batman's helper, ran his company. His name was Lucius Fox. Lucius, Lucifer, Fox, 666. There used to be Lucifer Trust in the United Nations. They changed it to Lucius Trust. So Lucius is Lucifer. So, I mean, that's how your world works. Plain and simple. So the abomination that causes desolation takes place when the Antichrist declares himself to be God standing in the holy place. Standing in that third temple that Mike Pompeo is already over. And Trump's already on the temple coin. And so we'll show you the temple coin. I think I got it under the word coin, so I would find it quick. I mean, yeah, you got an American president on the say that they are Jews, but they are not coin. And you don't think he's not the Antichrist? The Antichrist has to be able to go forth, conquering and to conquer. He has to be able, I mean, he has to declare himself to be God. He has to be hit by a deadly wound. So, and can you not tell he's setting himself up to be assassinated with all this strife and arguments? And I mean, yeah, they pose for that. They're on the same squad, folks. They're laughing at you. They've always been laughing at you. No offense. No offense. I know, none taken. So you got Daniel 27. Let's go ahead and read Matthew 24 now. Let's close this baby out. I think we've gotten a lot done here. I know there's going to be things I'm going to say that I left out after I watch it. And you might have questions, but let's wrap this baby up. Matthew 24, and Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came unto him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see not ye all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And that's what happens. AD 70, the temple is destroyed. And it doesn't get rebuilt until Trump rebuilds it. So go figure. And he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and his disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of time, the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto him, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. This is your war. Okay, this is your Revelation chapter 6. And kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. Remember the famines of the when the seals were being opened? The balances and the scales, and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginnings of sorrow. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. This is, this is when you're being persecuted for being a Christian. So this is when the abomination that causes desolation takes place, because now yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking at the highlighted one. It says you're going to be delivered up to be afflicted. That's the great tribulation. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. Some are taking the mark, and some aren't. Some are being possessed, uploading themselves with demons, and some are not. And then shall many be offended and betray one another and shall hate one another, and many false prophets shall arise and shall deceive many, because these demons are going to be very powerful inside of people once they take the mark. And because of iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Humans aren't humans anymore after they take the mark. But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. Remember, for the elect's sake, we'll get to that. And this is the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. People think that they teach you in these false churches that it's mankind that preaches the gospel. That's why they try to sell you, we're already in this, this is already happening. It says, this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached. Now watch this. Angel preaches the gospel to all the nations. Folks, it's an angel that preaches the gospel to all the nations in that Bible verse, not man. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, this is Revelation 14:6, having the everlasting gospel to preach on them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. So you got lied to when they told you that it was, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Yeah. Where did I just read that from? I've got so many of these opened up. Hang on. I'll find it. Revelation 14:6. And then shall the end come. Revelation 14. Lamb stood upon Mount Zion. It was 144,000, which represents the church. There's 14:6, preaching the gospel, and says the end comes. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. So Revelation 14:8, Babylon is fallen. Well, guess what? Babylon falls again. Revelation 18. Revelation 18, the fall of Babylon. So what I'm trying to tell you is the same thing is taught in different sections. Once you start Revelation 6, the Bible, the end times quits being in order, and then it's in sections. From 6 through 19, you got 3 different sections taking place. 3 different things are taking place. Let's get back to Matthew 24. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. So that's at the end times. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, he who readeth, let him understandeth. We just got through reading Daniel 9:27. The abomination that causes desolation. Let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains, because that's where it actually takes place. And there will be a remnant of true Jewish bloodlines that will see the light at that point. Then let them which flee into Judea flee into the mountains, and let him which be on a housetop not come down, take anything out of the house. Neither let them which is in the field return back to take his clothes. Woe unto them who are with child and that are breastfeeding in those days. But pray ye that your flight not be in winter, nor on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation. So again, great tribulation. He just got through talking about it up here, but he's talking about it again. Such as not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, there, believe it not. Again, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and great wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, the very elect of God would be deceived. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, If they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in secret chambers, believe it not. For as lightning cometh from out of the east, and shineth... that was another thing I told you. When they left the Garden of Eden, they headed east out of Eden. That's how they left out of the Garden of Eden. And Hollywood did a movie called what? East of Eden. Hollywood has always made fun of the Bible. They are the satanic creatures. Hollywood. CIA runs Hollywood. They just put up a video about that. Very well done until they left Trump out of the... Trump was completely linked to Epstein, the guy that allegedly killed himself. And Trump was linked all in with him. They didn't link Trump to him. They linked all the liberals to him. And the people that put it on love QAnon. So go figure. So everything's a psyop. Everything's a psychological operation. So you got to be very careful about what you're watching. So anyway, if the lightning come out of the east and shineth into the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For whosoever the carcass is, there the eagles will be gathered together immediately after the tribulation. Of those days the sun shall be dark, and the moon shall be not give her light. This is again the rapture coming. The stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers from heaven be shaken. This is the end times. Last trumpet and all that stuff. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Again, comes in the clouds. Let me look at my notes. Because it's 19... Oh, it's 14:14 and 19:11. He comes. Whoops. Are you sure you want to cancel the scan? I'll say yes. I don't need it scanned tonight. But it means it's 3 a.m. though. And he shall send his angels with a sound of a great trumpet, which is at the last trump, which is at the very end of time. It's the very last trump. And they shall gather together for his elect from the four winds of the earth. Parable of the fig tree. So likewise shall see these things. Very last saying to this generation shall not pass, till all these things be fulfilled. The heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. In the days of the hour no man knows. And the angels of this heaven, fathers only, in the days of Noah were... So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Days of Noah, there were fallen angels all over the earth. There were giants in those days because fallen angels were mingling with man and the seed. That's Genesis 6, 1 through 9. And of course, it's happening again. The fallen angels have mixed with man because man is uploading demons into his bodies through artificial intelligence, through the 5G technology. And for inasmuch in those days that were before the flood, that they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving unto marriage. So the days of Noah entered the ark, blah, 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 into the field, and one shall be taken. Then two shall be in the field, one shall be taken, and the other left. Grinding at the mill, one shall be left. Watch therefore that ye know not the hour of the Lord do come. The good man of the house, blah, 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 blah. Blessed is he, the servant of the Lord, to come out the very last end to you, to make ruler over his goods. So... Servant shall come, and he will cut asunder and appoint his portion to the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Weeping and gnashing of teeth is Judgment Day. So, and I teach that on my hell is not eternal torment. Let's keep going. I don't think that I've covered... We did Revelation 7. There's Revelation 13. Mark of the beast and all. We need to go over this. Okay. And make wonders of heaven. We read 13:13. Fire come down from heaven. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. Remember, a lot of supernatural lying signs and wonders. And he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword, but did live. So again, Trump's going to be assassinated. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause... Now the image of the beast... Okay. Make an image to the beast. That they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound. Yes. You're making an image of the beast. So you got the beast who lived, but you've also got the image of the beast. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's the mark of the beast, folks. All this has to take place for the mark. So don't worry about a vaccine that's digital and you got to wear it, or else you can't get groceries or bank. Don't worry about that. That's just to set you up to receive the mark when it comes, because they're not going to start chipping people at that point. This is all going to happen very quickly. So you're already going to have the chip and mechanism in you. So a sheep could have the mechanism, but they're not going to worship the image of the beast because they're not going to fall for lying signs and wonders. So, yeah. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no man might be able to buy or sell, save that he that have the mark of the, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let he that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of the man, and its number is 666. Right below part 1 of Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Right before it, I show you that Trump's name comes to 666. Don Drumpf. D-R-U-M-P-F. So, and his name used to be Drumpf. The family name was Drumpf. Before Trump was born, the family name was changed to Trump, fulfilling both prophecies, that he's come in his own name as the little horn, but it is still the number of a man. It is still his name. So, and I'm getting hungry, and I've got to use the bathroom, so I've got to wrap this up big time. Okay. So that's Revelation 13, and you get to Revelation 14, which again, this is in the third age will follow, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image. Remember, you have to worship his image and receive his mark on his forehead or in his hand. See, all those things have to have taken place. You have to worship his image. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God poured out, the mixture of the cup, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up day and night forever and ever, and there shall be no rest day or night for who worship the, because it's the demons that are being tormented at that point. That's who doesn't have any rest. Man doesn't have an eternal soul. Man's not going to live forever unless they're sheep. So just know that that's the I am more than positive that's, and I explained that really in detail concerning hell is not eternal torment. Don't have time to do it now. But, and then Jesus comes, angel says, thrust thy sickle. Yeah, this is again 14:14. And I looked, and behold, on a cloud, Son of Man came. This is a rapture verse. Had the sharp sickle. And the angel said, thrust thy sickle and reap. It's time to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust his sickle under the earth, and the earth was reaped. So there's your rapture. They're removed. Another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, also having a sharp sickle. And another came, and that's when they crush the people that are on the earth. Okay, so go to Revelation 15, Song of Moses and the Lamb, 7 bowls of the 7 plagues. So here it's just like the end of Revelation 6. You have God's judgments. And the kings of the earth, and great men, the rich men, the chief captains, the mighty men, and bondsmen, and free men of themselves, hiding out the dens and the rocks, and they were in the rocks and the mountains, and they wanted the rocks to fall on them and hide from him that sitteth on the throne. So at the end of Revelation 6, you've got, the wrath of God. And again in Revelation 16, you got the wrath of God. Is that where I was? I think so. Or did I leave from another place? No. It's okay. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the nations fell, and great Babylon had come. So Babylon is falling there. Great hail from heaven. So, God's taken out his wrath on the people. Revelation 16, just like he did in Revelation 6. And Revelation 14. And will again at Revelation 18, the fall of Babylon. Now, after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory, and he cried with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, fallen, become the habitation of devils and demons, and every unclean, hateful bird, and all the nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of the fornication, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, when you read through that, that's just a microscopic, they're really magnifying, I shouldn't say microscopic, magnification of what you're reading in the other chapters. And then in Revelation 19, after these things, I heard a great voice, people in heaven saying, Hallelujah, salvation is your rapture again, for the righteousness is true. They have judged the great whore, which is Babylon, which did corrupt the earth with their fornication, which is Lucifer, the mystery Babylon. Lucifer, the mother goddess, which Mother Nature, it's Isis, it's Mary in the Catholic Church. All of your goddess paganism is the whore of Babylon, is Lucifer, which is Satan in disguise, which is why the Baphomet has boobs, because male and female Satan. And again, of course, that whole trans movement was pushed recently, so that's when you know we were at the end, as the Baphomet was being revealed through that trans movement. And the 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worshiped God enthroned in heaven. So, hallelujah, hallelujah, omnipotent God reigneth, rejoice. And it was granted that they should be arrayed in fine linen. So they've been raptured, and now this is the wedding supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. That's Revelation 19:9. And he that sat on there with a vesture on his thigh was named King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And yes, everybody rides back to earth to conquer the earth with Jesus. Jesus is the one that conquers the earth. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it should smite the nations, and shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he tread up the winepress of the fierceness of his wrath. When you look at that right there, that is the same. See how he smite the nations with a sharp sword? Shall smite the nations. It's the same thing in Daniel. Go back to Daniel 2. And in those days these kings saw the God in heaven set up... Whereas thou saw the iron mixed with clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of man, but they shall not cleave to one another, as iron does not mix with clay. God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and shall not be left to the people, but it shall break into pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So that's when Jesus is coming back and he returns. For as much as thou sawest the stone which was cut out of the mountain without hands, it shall break into pieces, iron, brass, the clay, the silver. So it's being broken into pieces by a stone, which when Babylon falls, the fall of Babylon. Let ahead and get that with a great millstone, Babylon is crushed. I think, yeah, 1821. So we go down to 18. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and that's what smashes the iron mixed with clay, the final kingdom, from Daniel 2. So with violence shall the great city of Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So I really hope we've tied this together for you. Let me go over my notes real quick. Shall wear out the saints, 7:21 through 25. That's Trump's addresses, which is also Revelation 13, Revelation 6:2, 90. Wrath of God, trumpet, bowls. Revelation 15, 11:15, last trump. Deadly wound. Great tribulation. I think we got it. I think you get the gist of it. Let's see how long we did. Wow. Just as long as my other one about the mark of the beast being artificial intelligence. Hour and 55. All right. Love y'all. Any questions you got, let me have them. All right. Bye.